I had an opportunity to coach Joe Paterson from the age of 9 on, I believe, about every baseball team he played on other than a couple. Very apparent at a young age that number one, Joe had a huge passion for baseball. And number two, you could tell at a young age he was going to be a very good player. He always had good control, good mechanics, understood how to pitch, and always, I think from 9 years old on up, he loved the big stage. The bigger the stage, the cooler Joe thought it was, and the better he usually performed.
Joe Paterson is mostly known for being a great left-handed pitcher, but on his 8th grade junior baseball state championship team in 2000, Joe played an entirely opposite position.
A little different than some left-handers, his favorite position to this day, he would tell you, would be catcher. He loved to catch. Obviously, there isn't a huge future for left-handers being a catcher in baseball, but at the younger years, he did catch, and he was very good as a catcher. He was just a kid that loved playing baseball. I'm not sure of anybody that I've coached or been around had more fun playing baseball than Joe Paterson. Of all these teams that he played on throughout the years, if you ask those teammates who was their favorite teammate of all time, I guarantee you they'd say Joe Paterson. He just made it so much fun for everybody. He was always very positive. He just had that kind of personality. You couldn't help but love Joe Paterson.
Paterson's personality and competitive spirit followed him everywhere. No matter the sport, no matter if he was even playing, Paterson brought a whole new meaning to school pride.
A lot of people don't know this, but he was our vice president, and the kids really rallied behind Joe. About 2003 is when kids really started coming to games, basketball games and baseball games and football games. And I think Joe had a lot to do with that. You know, he'd be in front of the student body, and people would see him out there and saw that he was serious about leadership, and the kids really respected him. And we'd get a lot of kids out for football games to watch him, so that's pretty cool. You know, he was a really good football player. He wrestled for HD one year, and obviously he played baseball. You know, that was his key sport. But it was pretty cool. He just loved to compete. It doesn't matter if it was, baseball, or if it was football, or if it was wrestling, or whatever it was, he loved to compete.
And he made the Bears competitive in a strong conference, taking them as far as the second round of the state playoffs. While Joe earned the team's offensive MVP, the MAC Club's Football Player of the Year award, and finished second in the conference and 15th in the state in total passing yards.
Joe was a third-team All-League quarterback. We played in a really tough league. We threw the ball a ton. He had to throw the ball over 170 times that year, and he threw for over 1,600 yards. They were tough yards, they weren't like he was sitting back and just throwing. He was on the move a lot, and he was also a second-team All-League punter, so he was out there punting for us all the time, so that was kind of unique to have him back there. It was kind of fun because we could do a lot of fake punts, it was him throwing and stuff. Best thing about Joe is he'd like to have fun, but there was no one more competitive than Joe. I think it's really hard to find people that can do that and also be a great leader.
Joe led the varsity baseball team to 2 league titles and 2 third-round state playoff appearances in his 3 seasons with the Grizzlies.
I think Joe would be described as a crafty left-hander. Had an outstanding slider, a nasty slider, a good curveball, great control, great command. Joe, when he wasn't pitching, played first base for us. In my opinion, one of the best first basemen that I saw in 10 years of coaching varsity baseball. Very good at digging balls out of the dirt. Our infielders absolutely loved him because they knew if they threw one in the dirt, Joe was going to pick it. He was also extremely good at going back after fly balls. With the skill set you need for a first baseman, he had it all. Plus, he really understood how to play.
He once again received multiple awards for his tremendous play, including 2 All-League First Team and 1 All-State Second Team selections, the State Metro All-Star Series Most Valuable Pitcher, and of course, even the MHS Sportsmanship of the Year award.
Good pitcher, don't get me wrong, very, very good high school pitcher, but wasn't overpowering with his fastball, and so he didn't get many offers from colleges, especially Division I level, which is where he always wanted to play. Out of high school, he ended up going to Linfield, which I think was the best decision that he ever made. His brother Tommy had gone there, and so he had some connections there, and his first year, his freshman year, Coach Carnahan got him on a plyometric program and a weightlifting program. Coach Carnahan told me that in fall ball, he had clocked him, and Joe topped out at 81. At the end of their spring season, he was clocked again, and they clocked him at 88 to 89. So he had made a huge jump in velocity, which probably gave him a chance to play at a higher level. But it was all Joe and how hard he worked.
I got an email one day, or a call, I can't remember, and Joe said, hey, I'm going to transfer there. And I loved Joe, but at the time, did I think that he was going to go up and be touching 90 miles an hour and be one of the most influential guys to win in national championships? No. But when he got here, man, I'm telling you, his work ethic was off the chart. I remember one day going in the field house, and all the lights are out. I can hear something banging off the wall, and he's over there, and he's got tape on the wall there up against the padding and just working on throwing his changeup. We loved him because he loved baseball. He was Joe the junkie, you know. I mean, he'd play first, he'd pitch, he'd do whatever and have in our camps. Unbelievable personality. Joe was kind of one of those guys in high school that maybe wasn't looked at as, he looked at as a very good high school baseball player, but maybe not, hey, you're a high profile guy. And I think that chip on his shoulder is something that made him successful and will always make him successful. Don't go watch him throw a bullpen and think that you're going to walk away and go, whoa, that stuff's just mind-blowing. Put him in a game, find out what he does.
Paterson's winning personality and determined work ethic helped the Oregon State Beavers win a school record 50 games during the 2006 season, including their first ever national championship. OSU became the first team in the northern half of the country to win the title in 40 years, and they were the first ever team to lose 2 and face 6 elimination games in the World Series and still win it all.
Joe was such a competitor that if he didn't have the good velo one day, he would find a way to get you out. I mean, he was just as competitive as heck. Joe Pa was going to get you out because he could throw it where he wanted and he could make it move, and it was going to be 85 to 88. Well, 85 to 88 went to 89 to 90, and changeup got better and the mindset got better, and now all of a sudden you're dealing with a real arm. In 2007, he absolutely carried us.
As Joe Pa improved, so did the Beavs, but repeating as national champs would be no easy task. They finished in a disappointing 6th place in the much-improved Pac-10 and had to win the final game of the regular season to even make the playoffs. But Paterson never cracked under the pressure, not only leading the Beavers to victory in that final game at UCLA, but also to an 11-1 postseason record, and once again securing the national championship for the 2nd straight year.
And the team that almost did not make the field of 64 has won it back-to-back.
Joe, for me, is why you coach. Joe's come back and worked with our kids. Joe's come back and went to school. First class guy. He absolutely, genuinely is one of the nicest human beings I've ever coached. I mean, he just is a great guy. People loved him. Personality was off the chart. But he could flip the switch. You put him in the dirt circle, he was a nice guy, but he wanted to cut your throat. And that competitiveness kicked in, and that will, that mix was lethal. Joe had no issue with separating what kind of kid he was to competing. Now, did it with class, did it with everything you should do.
And the class act was handsomely rewarded for his great career. A career that achieved an OSU Most Valuable Pitcher Award, an All-Regional First Team selection, and an All-Regional Most Outstanding Player Award, and even an All-Academic Second Team selection. Joe is still in 6th place for innings pitched at OSU in a single season with 129.2. but is the university's all-time leader in both single postseason games pitched with 9 and postseason career ERA with 1.21. Joe was drafted in the 10th round of the 2007 MLB draft by the San Francisco Giants, but like so many great athletes before him, he would have to wait for his opportunity to make a major league roster. But Paterson made the most of his time in the minors, elevating every team he played for and earning recognition everywhere he went. League champion, pitcher of the year, Eastern League All-Star, Fall League champion, and Minor League World Series champion were just a few of the things Joe Paterson was called while he was waiting to be called up to the majors.
I was teaching PE at Dunaway Middle School, and my wife, who was the secretary at the time, comes running in the gym and says, Mark, you got a phone call. You need to take it right now. Pick up the phone. This is Joe Paterson. Hi, Joe, how you doing? Oh, pretty good. He said, hey, I just want to tell you, I just got out of a meeting with Kurt Gibson, who was the manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks at the time. And I just wanted to tell you, Coach, that I made the major league team. And as I can't do this. As a coach, that's about as special as it gets. Coming from where he was when he got out of high school and to eventually make it to the major leagues, it just goes to show you how much passion, how much determination that he had to improve himself, his body, to improve himself as a pitcher. Like I said it before, he loved playing on the big stage, and there isn't any bigger stage than the major leagues, and it was all Joe.
Whatever he does, he'll be very, very successful. I don't care what it is. Anything that Joe Paterson decides he wants to do, he's going to do.